Our renovation of the 85-year-old Kuppersmith house is nearing completion, but we still have dozens of small projects to wrap up. So if that part sounds like your home, you don't want to miss this. This beautiful old American Tudor home was built 85 years ago. For more than 50 of those years, a family named Kuppersmith lived here, so we've given this renovation project their name. The goal here is to keep all the 1926 character of this place while we add the amenities and efficiencies that a modern American family wants and needs. We're well on our way. We've added some new space for a master suite and a new detached garage capable of sheltering both the family sedan and the minivan. We've revived the exterior with low-maintenance materials, installed more energy-efficient windows and insulation to seal out the elements, and we've replaced the antiquated electrical and plumbing systems running through these old walls. The house is just days away from being complete, but there are still a number of big jobs underway. One of them is landscaping, so I'm meeting with our landscape contractor, Kevin Evans, to check on the progress. So Kevin, you've got the easy job here. You just put a little spot of paint on the ground and bushes magically appear. Not a bad job, man.
Yes, that's right.
So how's everything going? It seems like
fantastic.
You know, trees are going up. You got plants coming in by the hundreds and everything. And
that's right.
Take us through the process a little bit. I mean, you guys did a lot of work in grading everything to make sure the water would move away from the house.
Correct.
And then you brought in a lot of this stuff. What is it?
This is composted pine bark.
Huh.
Composted pine bark, and we till it in along with some manure, Agromax.
I see.
And that fertilizes the ground, gives you some natural, stuff into the ground.
What about the trees here? This is what? Obviously a holly tree.
That's a Savannah holly. It's a tree-formed Savannah holly. They were probably dug 3 weeks ago or so.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why, it's getting close to spring, and a lot of these plants, are deciduous, and you want to dig them in the spring and summer.
Right.
You'll kill them.
I got you.
And so it was a perfect time. We were able to get them before they started flushing, and we were able to dig them, hold them, and then bring them.
Okay, now
to the site.
What about the impact of this planting and everything? Will it lose all of the leaves, or will it stay looking like this?
It'll stay looking like that. It's an evergreen.
Okay.
It's an evergreen.
And what about the plant over there? If you didn't know better, you would think it was dead as can be, but what is the tree over there?
It's a deciduous tree, which it loses its leaves, during the winter, and it's a Chinese pistachio.
Oh.
And so it should be flushed out in the next couple weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, that's perfect, because the magazine guys will be here from Better Homes and Gardens. They've got to get that nice exterior shot. So, that's perfect. Inside, there's no shortage of work to be done either. There are paint touch-ups being done all over the place now that the electrical trim out is complete. And on the staircase, the wallpaper is going up on the back wall to create a focal point in this grand space. Brothers Dale and Donald Steele have been hanging this stuff for over 3 decades, so the papering itself doesn't really present any challenge. They make lining up the patterns in the paper, smoothing out the bubbles, and trimming the edges look as easy as boiling water. But getting it done in this staircase is a bit of a trick. In the hour or so it takes them to hang this wall, they must have to move their ladder 50 times. But ultimately, the effort is worth it because the wallpaper looks great. Now that's a sign of progress there, getting the wallpaper finally up on the wall. What do you think about it?
I think the guy's done a good job installing that wallpaper.
Man, that's no fun. I wouldn't want to ever install wallpaper, especially on a high thing like that. Some more wallpaper in here. I see that the panels are all together here that Joe Bowen from Better Homes and Gardens recommended. Really not a bad idea, huh?
No, it's really going to bring some color into that room where they're going to be installed at.
We'll just put some picture hooks on these or something and just hang the 4 different panels on there. That should work out pretty well. Well, I know you were working on the fireplace, and definitely looks a lot better, but once you started cleaning it, I guess you realized that smoke was coming off.
Yeah, some of it was coming off whenever I was cleaning it, and but it cleaned up good. It's still going to be real pretty.
Yeah, now that you do a few little touch-ups here and there, and we'll be able to put the clear sealer on it, I think that's going to really
bring it out.
And what's the deal here? You got some what happened there?
Well, I accidentally bumped the on-off switch for the logs, and the instruction book was sitting there, and I went to running out the front door, So I didn't burn this place down.
So you almost burnt the Kuppersmith home down.
I almost burned it down.
That would have been a hard one to live
So we got
past.
the gas off to them now.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Yeah, we won't need that for a while. So
That's right.
anyway, it's going to look great once we get all that sealed off. The mantle isn't the only thing in need of cleanup around here. After months and months of renovation, there's plenty of that kind of work to go around. So while the cleaning continues here, let's check in with Joe for a simple solution to a common cleanup chore that many do-it-yourselfers face.
At the end of every painting job, I used to take off the roller sleeve and just toss it away because I figured there was no way to properly clean it. And that was pretty wasteful. I started thinking there's got to be a way to clean it. And then I came up with this idea, and it works really well. I use a garden hose to simply rinse out the sleeve. But the trick is to use a trash can to contain the overspray and then spray it so that the water hits the very edge of the roller. And what you see will happen is the roller will start spinning at high speed and it just throws the paint right off. Okay, so you're going to get a nice stream of water and aim it right at the sleeve. Look at that. You go up and down the entire sleeve. Now you're going to need to do that for about 60 seconds or so, but I'll show you just, if you look at that, I mean, that's after just, what, 10 or 15 seconds, most of the paint's out. And if I keep doing that, this will be completely clean.
The Kuppersmith Project is nearing completion, but at this stage there are dozens and dozens of smaller chores that need an hour or so of attention. So there are workers from every trade imaginable crisscrossing paths all over the house and yard. Outside, the landscapers and irrigation installers are trying to wrap up their work, while the landscape lighting technicians are just getting started. Inside, the plumbers, painters, and carpenters are all trying to finish their punch list. It's exciting to see this much getting done, but it's a little frustrating and confusing when there's more than one person that needs access to the same space for a different purpose. But so far, we haven't had any major conflict. There's something going on every square inch of this project, inside and out, with the exception of this one little area. This is our access from the side of the house to the backyard, and there's a lot of traffic going in and out of here. But there is a lot going on right here on the side of the garage. This is where we've been able to aggregate all of our utilities coming into the house, as well as a few controllers like the sprinkler controller here. This is the electrical sub panel. We have our phone system here. We have our cable system here, and of course our meter for our electric power that ties right in to the transfer switch for our Generac generator that we have positioned behind the garage. Now, you know, this transfer switch, as we mentioned in previous shows, whenever there's a power outage here at the house, within just a few seconds, this will activate the generator and provide power inside. But this does a little bit more than that. This is a Nexus Smart Switch, and what it'll do is actually monitor the usage or the demand on the generator. And in the event that there's a lot of power being used, maybe a lot of lights on, air conditioning, electric stove, that type of thing, it will actually turn off one of those high users of electricity until the load subsides a little bit, and then it reactivates. It's a very smart way of going about not overloading your generator. Now, that's pretty high tech, but if you're looking for something a little lower tech, then you can see a solar powered exhaust fan from Braun right on top of the garage. Think about it. You don't have any power going to it at all. So it uses the energy of the sun to power the exhaust fan. What a great idea, using the sun to cool your attic. You know the old saying, 2 steps forward and 1 step back? That's exactly where we are here in the garage. 1 step forward is that we've almost completed all of the installation of our Gladiator garage work system, and it will make this garage so efficient once everything's complete. Another step forward is that we now have a central vac system from Newtone. You know, one of the advantages of having a central vac system in your home is that the vacuum motor is outside, not inside, constantly recirculating the same air that you have. So something like this that completely exhausts the air to the outside will certainly help improve your indoor air quality. Now, the step back I was talking about is pretty obvious. We've got a lot of trash piling up here from a lot of the things that are being installed inside, and we're getting tons of deliveries on all kinds of furnishings that are about to be placed inside the house. Now we're going to have to get those inside the house. We're going to have to get rid of the trash and clear this place out because we're about to apply a fantastic looking epoxy floor coating to the garage floor. Once the floor is completely cleared, the first step is cleaning it to ensure that there's nothing here to prevent the epoxy from sticking. The cleaner is a mild acid solution, so there's plenty of rinsing followed by ample drying time. The coating itself is made up of 2 parts which have to be mixed together to form the epoxy a few minutes before it's applied. While it sets, I'm making sure there's no dust or debris left on the floor to mar the finish. Although this stuff looks like paint and is applied like paint, it's very different in one aspect. When we mixed those 2 different parts, we started a chemical reaction. That's what will make this stuff stick to the concrete like nobody's business. But it also means we have a limited window of time in which to work with it before it loses its ability to bond. There's no capping up the can and going to lunch once you start this job. After we cover a small area, we apply the decorative paint chip to it before moving on to coat the rest of the floor. But I'm a good flake man. I can put these flakes out pretty good. This stuff is just what this garage needed to finish it off. While we wrap this up, Jody's at the Home Depot checking out a different specialty finish in the Best New Product section.
You know, I am always looking for inspiration, especially color inspiration when I want to change the color on my walls. And I've gone no further than Martha Stewart Living because she's come out with 2 new finishes that I think you'll really like. First of all, she's come out with precious metals. Now here's some samples. Look at all the different colors you have to choose from. But each of these have that metallic look. And let me just show you how that reflects the light. It's so pretty, has a really deep, rich color in that. Now my favorite, honestly, is this right here, is the finish called Potter's Clay. Now look at all the color choices you have here. And what's so neat about it is that it's a very thick paint. Take a look at the texture of this paint. That looks like a melted ice cream to me. It looks really good. But once you apply it to the walls, what you can do is take a brush or a comb and just kind of streak through it or do whatever faux look that you want to create that look. These are just 2 great ideas and neat ways to really transform the look of your room.
While the guys and I have been busy putting the icing on the cake in the garage, Kevin's landscaping crew has been all over this yard planting hundreds and hundreds of plants. They're working to get all of the planting beds complete before they begin laying sod for the lawn. And that can't happen until the landscape lighting crew completes their work. They're just getting started today, and they've brought in a mountain of fixtures to light this place up after dark. Hey, Nick, I tell you what, you got a lot of bits and pieces to put together here. I guess you know what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
To do that, they'll have to bury what seems like miles of cable and route it to a control box just around the corner from the front door. Nick Burks is the guy in charge of this operation, so I wanted to make sure he had everything he needed. Now, where do you get started on this thing? You know, I see the guys doing some of the trenching and so forth that minimizes the impact on the yard, but I'm a little confused. You got guys up in a tree over here.
What we're doing up in the tree is we have what we call simulated moonlighting. Instead of having a large amount of pathway lights that are high maintenance, we put a few fixtures strategically up in the trees, and it simulates a moonlit night.
Now, I understand that you guys are rushing right now. You've been here for a few hours, so you're rushing to get everything ready for a little test tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, well, preliminary night set. We'll turn all the lights on and take a look at it.
And then tomorrow you'll put everything in the ground and then have another tweaking session, I guess, tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
That's the only way you can really see if it's going to work.
You
huh?
can't see it in the daytime.
Yeah, perfect. Inside the project, we're checking out some of the technology-driven systems we've installed. In the master bath, the I/O digital systems for the shower and tub are up and running, and they are impressive. I saw these at a trade show when Moen first introduced them, but I'll have to say it's really cool to see them now operating in this home we've worked so hard to renovate. The Phantom remote control screens on the back porch and the remote control Velux skylights will also make it much easier to enjoy that space. The Cypress front door we had custom made for the project turned out beautifully, even if it's somewhat less high-tech. But as soon as Mark finishes installing the locking hardware, we'll have yet another cool remote control feature for this home, built right into the lock set for the main entry to this house. You know, I've had to make about 1,000 decisions to get to this point in the project, and now I'm faced with yet another one. You know, I love the new front door that we made. You know, it's fairly simple. We added the little window here that's a little bit different than the original door, but now several people have mentioned we need a little something extra, and this is kind of a logical choice, these little ornamental straps that you see so often on Tudor homes. And of course the decision is, does the door need them? Does it need one? Does it need two? Does it need three? I've got a little bit of looking around to do before I make that decision. But one decision I made that I'm glad I did is to put on the front door here a Schlage link system. Now, this is a combination lock, so that's real convenient, very popular, so that you don't have to have a key to get in the house. But this one's a whole lot more. It remotely links to your wireless internet system, allowing you to monitor your locks and who goes in and out of your house, and being able to unlock and lock it remotely from any computer or smartphone that you may have. Now that's pretty neat. Also, it enables you to monitor your heating and cooling inside your house. Also, your lamps, you can hook to a lamp module to turn lights on and off, as well as webcam. So a great comfort level for whoever ends up buying this house, and it goes right along with the theme I'm trying to follow on this project, a family-friendly home that'll be perfect for any American family. That was a good choice, but now back to the straps. While I'm pondering this dilemma, the work to wrap up the Kuppersmith project continues. Nick's crew has covered up all of the trenches for their outdoor lighting so the sod can start going down all over the yard. I love the way a pallet of sod can transform a yard so quickly. And as the empty spaces are covered up, I can really feel a sense of relief that we're almost there. Now, while Kevin's crew finishes making the Kuppersmith project a little greener, let's do some green thinking. Did you know that over half the energy produced in America is generated by coal? I think that's one of the most anti-green concepts we still face. Besides using an unsustainable resource, it creates a massive carbon footprint on our planet. The next time you get your power bill, look at it closely and see if there's a green energy option that's listed. This option means your utility company buys renewable energy generated by wind or solar and then passes it along to you. It does cost a little bit more, but not that much, and it really helps to support clean green power. When I first bought this house a couple years ago, I spent a lot of time right here on the edge of the street looking at the existing house, which was really kind of out of balance on the lot. So I knew any space that I needed to add to the house needed to be added to this side to kind of balance things out a little bit. Well, with the help of my architect, Pete Vallis, we came up with this idea to set it back a little bit and do everything we could to make the new blend in with the old, and I think it worked pretty good. And the landscaping doesn't hurt the curb appeal at all. I'm really proud of the outside of the Kuppersmith project. But what about the inside? Well, later today, the design teams from Better Homes and Gardens magazine and Renovation Style magazine will be here, and they're going to completely furnish the inside of the house with some fantastic furnishings that I look forward to showing you next week on our final show here on the Kuppersmith Project. Hey, thanks for following along, and thanks for watching today's Homeowner. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week. This project is going to be a great success thanks to our Kuppersmith Project partners.